I call this Town of Adams Board of Selectmen's meeting to order, Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded. Is there anyone in the audience who will be recording part or all of this meeting? Just please inform the chair, to the media, okay? Is that it? Okay. Next on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please stand and join the board in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, next is public comment. Anyone in the audience who would like to address the Board of Selectmen this evening? Yes, Mr. Laura, please come up. State your name and your address, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, Fred Laura, 13 Harding Avenue, Precinct 1. And before I start, I'm going to approach the bench.
Yep.
So this is just for situational awareness, right? Because I definitely do not want to take away from the overwhelming success of the Adams Street Fair. I thought it was an outstanding event for families and awesome fireworks at the end. However, there was a cleanup that did not occur with the fireworks on Valley Street Field. So the items I just wanted to show the select board are the little plastic fuses and hard cardboard that littered the field at Valley Street, which obviously we use for both youth soccer and for youth baseball, Little League. So that was a handful of items. There were literally hundreds of items scattering the field. So a lot of soccer parents, soccer players chipped in on Sunday to clean it up. We did another cleanup effort on Tuesday. I believe we probably got 90% of the debris, or plus. But just for situational awareness, there definitely needs to be a process for future events, specifically for fireworks in Valley Street Field, the morning after cleanup, because it was pretty widespread and definitely a safety hazard for the kids in this respect. So I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you.
The second point is the Hoosick Valley Regional School District. So just for situational awareness, it was posted late this afternoon. There's now an opening for one of the Adams seats for the committee. One of the committee members resigned on Monday from Adams. So we'll post that, and there's going to be a process essentially where a resident of Adams that's a registered voter can submit their application, their resume, if you will, to the school committee, and it can be reviewed at the next school committee meeting in October, potentially for voting by the committee to appoint a member for that vacant seat. So again, I just wanted to share that. Unless there's any questions, that's all I had for you tonight, sir.
Thank you for bringing that up, and this is a good forum to be able to reach out to people in Adams who are watching this. And I would encourage people to get on board on the school committee. In the future, almost the near future now, there's going to have to be some changes within, I believe, the school with the number of students. So the dialogue will be going back and forth, so we're really going to need a full complement of members from Adams and Cheshire. So I personally encourage anyone who's interested to reach out to our interim town administrator and the chair of the school committee. And who may that be now?
Aaron Milne, Miss Milne.
Okay. So that's all I have to say.
And getting back to this material from the fireworks the day after, thank you for you and fellow parents for raking up this debris. Thank you. The next day, and I think we had the DPW go up Monday to also verify, to help out, rake up what they could. So
And it's definitely not a reflection on DPW. If anything, I have to compliment DPW for the work they have done on maintaining Valley Street Field. I mean, we're making that a very good facility for multiple youth sports in the town. And the guys in the Parks Department, they're up there mowing it, and we get compliments from our visiting teams all the time, right? They say these are great fields to play on. So on behalf of Adams Youth Soccer, we appreciate what DPW does for us. Almost every week they're up there maintaining those fields, and it's a cooperation between both the organization and DPW to make that happen. So thanks again.
Great, thank
Through
you.
the chair, I have one other comment, if I could ask. As far as the cleanup, I would think that before you pass the blame on to the committee, when someone signs a contract, the fireworks company perhaps should have been the people that did the cleanup. I don't know that that would be contractual. So, that's just something to think about. I don't have the answer whether they were or not.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not here to blame anyone. I basically am identifying what occurred, right? And some of the actions that we took as a community to clean up the field. But you're absolutely right. There was a responsibility there to clean up the remnants from the fireworks, right?
Yeah.
So who that is, right? That's something probably for the Fair Committee to take on as an action item for next year and for future events. But yeah, I'm not here to blame anybody.
All I can say is thank you for that, and that's what a community should do.
Yeah.
If somebody shirks their responsibility, that's when a community comes together, and that's what makes a good community.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
All right,
Good.
thank you, Fred. Anyone else from the audience who would like to address the Board of Selectmen? Yes.
Hi, Kathy Foley, West Road in Adams. I just jotted a couple of notes. I didn't expect to be talking tonight, and I sort of decided at the last minute. As some of you know, I've received an undue share of time and scrutiny from both our former and now our current code enforcement officers. And for some important reasons, I want to publicly state that I am not running a family-style campground as defined by the state of Massachusetts. This after having gone through a painstaking process to get a special permit from the zoning board, which David Reinmiller, our current code enforcement officer, chaired at the time, and he still chairs, and then having gotten a site plan approval from the planning board, which at the time David Reinmiller, our current code enforcement officer, also chaired, and having done so despite the extraordinary obstacles Mr. Reinmiller and others tried to put in my way. In his new position on the first day that he sent out violation letters, he made sure to send one out to me. All the other ones, as I found out from a public records request, all the other ones were due to either a complaint or a request, like for a certificate of occupancy, for example. So, sadly, despite overwhelming community support, we've been utilizing less than three of the 4 sites for which I am permitted. This has been a deliberate choice so as not to open myself and my business to further harassment and retaliation if I'm subject to allowing Mr. Reinmiller further access and scrutiny to me and my property. So that's to this point. I appealed to the Board of Health. I've yet received no response from them, and they didn't mention at their meeting earlier today, so I'm not sure where that stands. I do remain hopeful that our current town administrator with the Board of Selectmen support will eventually help rectify the situation, and I continue to appeal to all of you. This has been a circus, and unfortunately for all of you, this is your circus. These are your monkeys, and I need help. And I hope that I will get the help and support for things to go as they ought to be going, and in an ethical and appropriate manner. Thank you.
Through the chair, may I?
Town Administrator. Thank you,
Okay,
Joe.
yeah, okay.
So I have requested a meeting with you and the Board of Health.
Okay, I
and
didn't know who it
the-
was with. It just said staff.
So all of the parties, so I'm requesting building commissioner and the code enforcement officer
Yep.
to attend so that you and I and they can all understand what the process is supposed to be and where we need to get to so that we can get this done.
Okay.
That is my goal.
And that would not be at a Board of Health meeting?
No,
public
I'm just going
hearing,
to try
or
to
a-
get the code enforcement officer and the building commissioner, and hopefully the Board of Health will take up your appeal.
So that's a separate
Yes.
thing?
But
Okay.
I want to work with you
Okay.
and those two to get you to where you need to be, so that I can understand exactly what they're saying needs to happen, and that you understand, and see if we can't come together.
Yeah. I got a second letter from Mr. Ryan Miller after, a couple weeks after the first one, wanting me to get a permit from the Board of Health for last
It
fiscal
was
year.
an incorrect date. He should have put 2026, and that was an error, yes.
Seemed like it was pretty specific at the end, specifying for which year we had to get right with.
I will check
So,
with him, but I thought it was just an error.
At this point, for me and all the experiences I've had, and some of you know many of them, I don't feel like it was a incidental accident, an accident, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well-
Through the chair, thanks, Holly, for what you're doing.
Absolutely.
You are the only one that has taken something like this on since this has been going on. This
For
is
years.
unfair. I'm not gonna, I know if I start talking personnel, the gavel's gonna go down about, yes, right. So.
But in
what I'm
general-
saying
in
is,
general-
I would like us as a board to put ourselves in this situation. If we were doing what is going on, this has been going on with this situation for such a long time, and everybody's dug in. There doesn't want to be a compromise. Everybody's dug in because personalities have played more of a role than rules and regulations put forth by either the town or the state government for campgrounds and all of this stuff. People don't deserve it. They're only trying to do something good, and they've invested a lot of their time and energy in trying to do this. They get the okay, and then all of a sudden, it's not okay. So I just totally hope that through Holly and sitting down, that this can be resolved, because it's gone much too long, and I can look at your face that it's been hurting you.
yes,
Yeah?
yep.
So I'm
Mr.
gonna
Walto
just-
told me when I met with him that I should go to the State Ethics Board, and I have not given up on this town yet. And I hope you haven't given up on me.
Okay, so that meeting will be set up. You already sent one email to reach out to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address the board? Okay. Next is the approval.
John, we got one.
Oh, we do have somebody, sorry. Name and address, please.
Kathy Foster, Murray Street. I noticed that the most recent decision, the open meeting violation complaint, is going to be discussed today, and I think that's good for transparency, but I'm also wondering, are we going to discuss all of them? Are we going to discuss the ones where the town has violated open meeting, or are we only going to discuss the ones where?
For today's meeting, it's just the ones we received in the last couple of weeks that we have to by law answer within so many days. Those are the ones that are being worked.
I can't understand what you're
Sorry,
saying.
sorry. So the ones that we have on the agenda this evening are the ones that we received, communications within, so many days that we will be able to respond within the amount of days by law, to get it out to the Attorney General's office. So we haven't included the full history. At some point, we will.
No, I'm talking about the decision that's in today's packet.
Yes, we have that.
Right, are we going to be going over all decisions from now on? I think that would be transparent.
Yeah, I definitely like to
Okay,
put those in
even the
there.
ones that aren't favorable.
Exactly.
I want to say one thing real quickly, because I saw the response in the packet, and I know that you haven't gotten to it yet. Town council did misunderstand because he said he didn't know if I made a mistake when I wrote the 3rd rather than the 8th. I did mean the 3rd, and I meant what happened on the 3rd, not at the meeting on the 8th.
I think he figured that out, yeah,
All right, but that's not what that
Yeah.
letter says.
eventually, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes, September 3rd, 2025. What's the board's pleasure?
I make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes for September 3rd, 2025, and to approve them as presented.
Motion by Ann, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? None. Unanimous decision. Next is appointments. The first one is the ratification, hope I say this right, Talia Chi, to temporary part-time position of executive assistant to the town administrator at grade 9, step 4, $28.62 an hour. Holly.
Pursuant to Section 10 of the Town Charter, I hereby submit the name Tylea Chi to serve in the temporary part-time position of Executive Assistant to the Town Administrator. Her temporary part-time role as Executive Assistant to the Town Administrator shall be until such time as the town appoints a permanent full-time Executive Assistant, or she or the town decide otherwise, whichever is earliest. Tylea has worked as the Administrative Assistant in the Building Commissioner's office for almost a year and had recently added some of the additional responsibilities of Executive Assistant to the Town Administrator. I have worked with Tylea over the last several weeks and have found her to be a great asset. I am recommending compensation for this temporary part-time position to be at grade 9, step 4, $28.62 an hour.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We ratify Talia Chi to temporary part-time position of executive assistant to the town administrator at grade 9, step 4, $28.62 per hour.
Motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Discussion.
Yeah, I just have a question. I'd like to know what we mean by, temporary. What will she be getting benefits?
As a part-time temporary staff person, she will not be entitled to normal full-time benefits.
Okay. And another thing I'd like to ask, I'm definitely gonna go with her getting this position, but will that make it where Tylea will have to come and sit where Jordan is and do the minutes?
Not at part-time. Her
Okay.
part-time hours are not including that at this moment.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Is there a set hours as far as part-time that
Yes.
we're looking at?
Yeah, so we are looking at Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 2, and Friday, 8 to 12.
Okay. And then, obviously, this would be a movement from, let me get the office right, from the building commissioner's office. Does that leave an open position
It
there
does.
at this point?
That position's actually been posted.
Okay. Okay. That's everything I have.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous decision. Next, we have the ratification of promotion of Kiyomi Belanger from Administrative Assistant to Planner in the Department of Community Development at grade 10, step 2, with an annual salary of $54,256. Holly.
So pursuant to Section 10 of the Town Charter, I hereby submit the name of Kiyomi Bellinger to be promoted to the position of Community Development Planner within the Community Development Department. Her direct supervisor reports Ms. Bellinger has been assisting to manage the town's Community Development Block Grant Program with exemplary accuracy and proficiency for the past 8 months. She has assumed many of the duties of the planner position while meeting all her responsibilities as the administrative assistant within the department, including providing staff services to the Planning Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Conservation Commission. Before her employment with the town, Ms. Bellinger worked for Mitsubishi Corporation as a project manager for 13 years and was involved in preparing estimates, developing and managing contracts, arranging customs clearance, and coordinating both manufacturers and customers. She has extensive experience in general administration and budget management, and she has been responsible for a broad range of duties associated with grants administration, including reporting, preparing reimbursement requests, and public outreach. Importantly, Ms. Bellinger has had a keen interest in learning and a willingness to take on more responsibility. This will be especially beneficial toward building capacity within community development. The planner position is a grade 10. Her supervisor is recommending, and I am recommending, that Ms. Bellinger start at step 2 to reflect that she has been performing many of these responsibilities for that position. With the board's ratification, Ms. Bellinger will begin her formal duties as Community Development Planner immediately effective 9/18 with an annual salary of $54,256.
I'd like to make a motion. I usually don't make initial motion for individuals. I end up usually voting for them, but I'm going out to say that Kiyomi Bellinger is the right person for this job. She's hardworking, her mental acuity is great, she's a perfectionist, and I think that's what we need as a planner. Someone who is going to be proficient, is going to be precise, and get the work done that's asked of her. So I'm going to put forth a motion to Kiyomi Bellinger to the position of Community Development Planner in a position grade 10. We'll start at step 2 to reflect that she has been performing many of the responsibilities of the position over a year now. With the board's ratification, which I'm putting forward the ratification, Ms. Bellinger will begin her formal duties as Community Development Planner immediately, effective 9/18/25, with an annual salary of $54,256.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ann. Any further discussion?
Just quickly, I believe, if my understanding is correct, is that this position is actually a grant position and not necessarily a position on the tax.
Is it a combination or?
Currently 100% funded by the grant now.
Okay.
Okay. And that will continue forward, hopefully? Budget season, okay, that's fine, we're not there yet, I also want to thank Kiyomi for all the work that she's done in the past year, pretty much doing a lot of this role, so I think it's a great fit.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Still under appointments, we have the ratification of promotion of Adam Mezzawar from mechanic to mechanic foreman in the Department of Public Works at step 5, or $38.82 per hour.
Pursuant to Section 10 of the Town Charter, I hereby submit the name of Adam Meswar to be promoted from mechanic to mechanic foreman for the Department of Public Works. Adam Meswar has been a vital member of the Department of Public Works for the past 10 years, consistently exhibiting outstanding technical expertise, dependability, and a strong dedication to the town's vehicle and equipment operations. His commitment to high-quality workmanship and effective problem-solving has played a key role in enhancing the efficiency, safety, and reliability of our fleet services. Adam's contributions have been instrumental in maintaining compliance with safety regulations and supporting the department's long-term planning for equipment and operational needs. His depth of experience and leadership continue to be a driving force in advancing the department's mission and ensuring exceptional service to the community. I am recommending Adam to begin at step 5, or $38.82 an hour, to reflect his decade of knowledge and experience that contributes to his qualifications for the position. With his ratification, this will be effective tomorrow, 9/18/25.
Board discussion? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for ratification of promotion of Adam Meswar from mechanic to mechanic foreman in the Department of Public Works at step 5, or $38.82 per hour, to be started tomorrow, 9/18/25.
Motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Any final discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. Did the name escapes me. Did the head mechanic retire?
Was it a retirement? Yes.
He retired? Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know that. So I'm reckoning in the very near future, we're gonna have another opening, right? To be assistant mechanic? There's always been two.
Yes,
That would be the case?
we
Yes.
eventually will probably put that out.
Yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. And finally, the appointment, the ratification of rehire of Anthony Fiore as skilled laborer for the Department of Public Works at step 3, or $24.59 per hour.
Pursuant to Section 10 of the Town Charter, I hereby submit the name Anthony Fiore as skilled laborer in the Department of Public Works. Fiore was previously employed in this department and left in good standing. Due to his previous performance, institutional knowledge, and familiarity with departmental operations, we believe Anthony is well qualified to resume duties in this role and contribute immediately to ongoing projects and initiatives. All appropriate rehire protocols have been followed in accordance with our agency's HR policies. This ratification confirms that Mr. Fiore has been approved for reemployment under the terms and conditions set forth by the department and in compliance with all applicable regulations. I'm recommending Anthony Fiore to be compensated at step 3 or an hourly rate of $24.59. With the board's ratification, this will be effective 9/18/25.
What is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion for the ratification of rehire of Anthony Fiore as skilled laborer for the Department of Public Works at step 3, or $24.59 per hour, to go into effect 9/18/25.
Motion by Ann, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jay, discussion.
I have a question. I've never heard of a rehire. How does that work? And did Mr. Fiore leave service and went and worked somewhere else, and then he wanted to come back?
Correct.
He had to leave town for a family matter,
Yeah,
personal.
okay. So was this job posted?
Yes.
And how many applicants were there?
I don't have them off the top of my head. We interviewed 3.
There were 3 applicants interviewed.
Okay? Because I've never heard of a rehire before since I've been on this board. I don't know, you said that you went by the laws for rehire. I don't know what those are.
So he left in good standing,
Yeah?
so he didn't separate from the town for any reason but his own. And so you can rehire. They made sure they followed, the job was posted, we interviewed
Within the personal rules and regs.
within our personnel rules and regs.
And just out of curiosity, how long was Mr. Fiore away from the position that we're going to ratify now?
It was pushing 2 years.
Pushing 2 years. And that, you know, I can understand that kind of stuff, personal matters, but when you were originally a member of the Adams Highway Department, were you a skilled laborer or just a laborer?
I was a skilled laborer.
Can you come up to the podium, please, if you don't mind? Thank
Yes, I was a skilled laborer.
Okay, so you've been gone for 2 years?
About that, yes, sir.
Yeah, because I've seen you around town for quite a
Yes.
while. Yeah. Right, okay, that's all I want to know.
All right, thank you for coming back. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous decision. That takes care of all the appointments. Moving on to new business. We have an update on Jordan Street Culvert Replacement Project. Donna?
So in wanting to give you an update on the project, I think the board knows this project's been around for a while. We first heard that the culvert was failing back in 2018 from DPW staff. After the town hired preliminary engineering to do an assessment, we realized that this project was going to be very complex and it was going to be expensive. We reached out to the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, to see if they could provide some assistance. They directed us toward their hazard mitigation grant program. It's something that they work in combination with the federal government, so they work with FEMA. Let's see, the grant application was first submitted in 2019, and we had tentative approval of our application later that year, and then we submitted additional information, and they gave us formal approval in 2021. We had to conduct environmental clearance, we had to do notifications, we had to go through a procurement process to hire an engineer. This was submitted to MEMA and FEMA. They awarded the town $1.7 million, and that was represented 75% of the overall project costs of about $2.3 million. So the town was responsible for $572,000 of that. In late 2021, we contracted formally with FEMA, for the first obligation. They kind of broke the project into two obligations. Obligation 1 was for $370,000, and this was for the design. So since late 2021, we've been working on the design. We initiated engineering formally under a contract with Vanessa Hagen Bruslin in 2022. There was an extension approved on November 27th, 2023, and it was extended to this month on the 23rd. So 9/23/2025. On January 15th, we submitted to MEMA and FEMA the final design package for the project. This included all the final construction drawings, the detailed cost estimate, and a detailed schedule for the project. As you can imagine, project costs have gone up. It was what was a $2.2 million project is now a $3.9 million project. So we asked for a budget amendment, we asked for a schedule enhancement, and we asked for approval of our design, authorizing us to go to bid. This was done on January 15th. FEMA was also provided information in the fall of 2020. It's not like we've been without interaction with both MEMA and FEMA. Throughout the process, we would provide them draft information, they would comment on us, then we'd go forward. Right-of-way was completed for the entire project earlier this spring. And knowing that more time would be needed, MEMA, our Massachusetts Emergency Management, they've been working with FEMA to get the contract extension. I think they have a better understanding of how often it takes, how long it takes. Last week we had a call with MEMA. They informed us that they've had no confirmation and very little interaction with FEMA about our contract extension, about approval of our design package. They explained that they cannot go through FEMA Boston, which I think they have a stronger relationship, obviously. They have to go to FEMA headquarters in Washington, D.C. They wanted us to know that they haven't just waited on this, they haven't been sitting on their thumbs, they've been working on this. And they will continue to work on, this is their project as much as ours. Obviously, it's within the town, it's our neighborhood. We've explained to them that our neighborhood has been very inconvenienced by the wait, and we've asked them to do whatever they can to move this forward. Last week, I reached out to Congressman Neal's office. They've been helpful in the past with some of our federal grants. I've asked them to help on the town's behalf again. I am also beginning to look at potential contingencies should this not go forward. So that's, I'm sure you may have questions. I'm happy to try to answer anything from the board.
Okay, questions from the board?
Yeah, I have some questions. Just hearing how much the cost escalated in the time that we started it, and that's going to be standard in any project that we're asked to do. And it's all become politics at FEMA. Don't want to work with Boston because we're a Democratic state. Don't want to work with Boston, nah. So I think we'll be holding our hand on our ass for a while to get any response from Washington to get some money up this way for something like that. Because projects that were already geared to go in North Adams, I know there was a situation when they had flooding and a road collapsed, and they had confirmation that they had the money, but it was slipped away from them. So, as you mentioned, it's been going on so long. I know everybody's pitched in and tried to do what they can, but those people have been inconvenienced for quite some time.
Right.
And what made me bring this back up to the forefront is, I believe our last meeting, we had a woman who lived there and said, you know, when is this going to get done? It's been inconveniencing us for such a long time.
Right.
So that's why I brought it forward, and I'm hearing new news from you that I didn't know about. So I'm glad that you came forward and told me. And to me, the diagnosis has gotten worse than better in hoping to get this accomplished in a reasonable time, which is unreasonable right now. So that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Anyone else from the board? Anyone else from the audience like to add any comment, have a question? Okay,
Okay, I will keep in touch on the matter.
thank you, Donna.
Thanks.
Donna?
Okay, next on the agenda is National Grid Property Access Request, 0 Columbia Street. Vote to approve National Grid Access Agreement. We have a National Grid rep on Zoom. Phone or whatever.
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Sure can. Can you hear us?
Yes, this is Tyler Martin with Hinkley Allen. How are you?
Good, doing well this evening. So the board has received the agreement, and I was wondering if you could just go over the project itself and then the agreement we'll discuss after that.
My apologies. The audio seems to be coming in just a bit muffled on my end. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. The request is if you could just begin this evening by going over what the project entails.
Yeah, absolutely. I can certainly do that. So as I said, Hinkley Allen represents Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid, and we represent them in connection with certain remediation work that National Grid has undertaken in the vicinity of a former manufactured gas plant located at 33 Columbia Street in Adams, Massachusetts. National Grid has already conducted investigations and implemented several remediation measures at the site. However, a recent audit by the Mass DEP identified some remaining punch list items that must be completed to achieve permanent closure of the site. And so to address these issues, National Grid needs to perform additional sampling near a former test pit located on town-owned property at Columbia Street, Assessor's Plat. That's Assessor's Plat number 004/112 period 0-0000-0004.0, and that's commonly known as Memorial Park. And the sampling area is within the drainage wall portion of the property, and it does not extend into the park. itself. And so my apologies, I'm just pulling up my notes on this. We had sent over the proposed agreement to the town council who have reviewed and approved it, and we would ask the board to approve that agreement.
Now, the location, if you're heading north, is it on the on the east side of the street, next to the Walgreens? I remember there was or Mass Electric at the time, they had a site there. It's not on the same side as the school side. I'm not sure if you know the answer to that, but which side of the street?
I actually don't know the answer, but there is attached to the access agreement, attached as Exhibit A is a scope of work, and there's also a Figure 1 that shows exactly where it is. So that should hopefully, I'm looking at it right now, I'm just not entirely sure what the surrounding buildings are, so I can't answer your question exactly.
Can you guys see it better than I can? I'm having trouble just reading.
Almost looks like it's back behind like the bike trail area, behind the park.
Okay, so it's on the east side.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I believe that's Walgreens right here.
yeah. Okay. All right, so we also have, thank you. We also have the agreement that's been provided to us. Does the board have any questions in regards to the agreement that's been provided for the National Grid to access this land?
I want to say that it's complicated for me to understand it, but there is, when there's time for comment, something I want to bring up. So what's that asking us, giving them permission to access the land, and it's the town of Adams's land?
Correct. And then they will go to the Conservation Commission to discuss exactly what the task is going to be and seek the Conservation Commission's approval. So we're going to approve the agreement, and then they're going to move on to the Concom. So our responsibility is to approve this agreement to access land that we own.
I guess my only question, this might be for the Conservation Commission, but in terms of the access and what's needed for the access, is there a certain amount of individuals that would be needed? Is there an access road that would need to be used? Is there any disturbance in terms of, I guess, the park itself?
I don't think he knows.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry, I'm here. I unfortunately do not know the answer to that question. That might be a better question for them. I'm not entirely sure about that.
Okay. But the access agreement itself, I guess this is probably a better question for you. This is all the standard legal contracts that normally would be for this type of work that would need to be done?
Yes, yep.
Any further questions from the board?
Yes, through the chair. I'd just like to make a comment. This land has been in question for quite some time, not just the parcel that you need to do another test boring, but at one time, a little past history, there was a dry cleaners there, and of course, as we all know, dry cleaning has a lot of chemicals and solvents to it. And there were two homes there. There's one that's still being lived in and one that's still up, but no one longer lives there. And over the years, a prominent family, and I don't think they'd want me to mention their name, lived in the house that is now unoccupied. And test borings were taken in numerous spots in the backyards of the two homes. And the prominent family that I knew well, a number of the residents that lived there contracted cancer and died from cancer. A number of them. So there is some correlation, I believe, with contaminants and cancer. And the number is substantial. It's more than, I'd say probably 2/3 of the family, if I'm thinking correctly, that contracted cancer and died from cancer. So those things need to be looked at. Mercury, cadmium, all the kind of chemicals that go into the ground when the gas, that large gas container was there. I believe it was used for, at long time ago when our street lights were turned on via gas, and it was used for other things needed with the use of gas. But to me, that tells me that, and this was brought to my attention, I knew to one of the brothers who still is living, and you may know about this, and it's quite recently, maybe 3 years ago, and he wanted to know all about what these chemicals were, and he was a teacher, and he was a science teacher. He had a good grasp of things. And I called DEP, and they came right down and discussed it with him. So I would like to know, what are you looking for in those two borings that you're going to take? What gave you the emphasis to go down there? Where did that all come from to go to that particular part of the town park?
I am not going to be able to speak to that exactly. I am covering for a colleague tonight who has been more intimately involved with the drafting of the agreement in this matter overall. As my understanding is that they were National Grid has conducted investigations and, as I said, implemented several remediation measures. And then after receiving an audit from the Mass DEP for some remaining punch list items, in order to close out those items, they needed, National Grid needs to perform additional sampling in this area. But any specific questions that you have, I can certainly pass them along to my colleagues.
Yeah, I know, due deference to you, the person that should be talking to us is the person that had the answers for these type of questions. And I'm not saying anything, but I would just have hoped that that person would be here, because you're just telling us that you're not sure. So that's all I have.
Okay, any other questions from the board? And some of those questions hopefully they can be answered at the Conservation Commission meeting. I'm not sure the exact date, but the agenda has been posted, so it's coming up soon. Hopefully, that National Grid will send a representative that will be able to answer all the questions of the board and of the participants in the audience. So our job is to approve the access agreement. What is the board's pleasure?
Before we do that, I think Jay brought up some good points. What is access good encompass? I believe they've done this before. I think they take test borings. I don't think it's
Right.
with a lot of vehicles going in and tearing up a lot of property. They just take core samples of, the plot that's under question. But I can't be 100% sure that that would be the way they do it now. Usually they're core borings, and they're not very disruptful. But is that something that you can validate what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I can't, but that my understanding is that is correct. The disruption is quite minimal.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve National Grid Property Access Request, 0 Columbia Street, and vote to approve the National Grid Access Agreement.
Motion by Ann, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. And Jay, if you can make that Conservation Commissioner, Joe also, if you have questions. Any further questions?
Yeah, I'm just going to pre-say that I'm going to abstain. I lost a good friend to that family, and I'm not going to just go on hypotheses that there won't be anything that's going on. It looks like we have the votes to allow it. So I just want to always say when I abstain that I'm doing it for this reason.
The meeting is Thursday, September 25th at 6 PM. The Conservation Commission.
So I'll read the paragraph which indicates, the work, I'll just paraphrase here, National Grid and/or its contractors and subcontractors, collectively referred to herein as National Grid, will perform the work on the property set forth in the scope of work attached here to the Exhibit A, the location, which will be soil boring sampling, which Joe, you mentioned, which has happened in the past. The work shall be performed at National Grid's sole cost and expense. Okay, then you get down to access. Commencing as of the date first set forth above, which will be this evening's approval, the owner grants National Grid, its agents, employees, consultants, contractors, and/or subcontractors a license for access over and to and for the use of certain portions of the property to complete the work. National Grid, its agents, employees, consultants, contractors, and/or subcontractors shall take all reasonable precautions to minimize damage to the property. National Grid will repair any damage to the property specifically caused by it and/or its agents, employees, consultants, contractors, and for subcontractors, and/or during the performance of this work. So we're giving them access, and they have stated in here that they will fix any damage that they cause.
May I humbly ask, within the context of the approval, that once results are found, that we're notified of their findings? Because a lot of times they won't do it.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a fair question, and we should be able to get a copy. If the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission
but-
gets a copy, we should be also.
Yeah, well, make
The
a motion
results.
that we would like one, if you could.
Yeah, that's fine. We should know what the results are. So we have a motion on the floor, right? Or no?
Yes.
Yes, we have a motion on the floor. Okay, let's make this motion first. So this is, the motion on the floor is to approve the access agreement as stated in our packets. So we'll vote on that first. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
Abstaining.
And we have one abstention. Okay, Joe, you want to make a motion that the final results, the Board of Selectmen will be provided a copy when they are?
Well, I
ahead.
prefer one of the two members here do so, because I'm going to abstain, but I just think it's a viable ask that we should know.
Okay. Do you have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion that we obtain the results from National Grid from the sampling that's conducted from the access agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And Holly, could you please have a look out for that, or talk to the Conservation Commission Chair? Hopefully, and they can state, or we can say to them, we would like a copy of the final results. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
I'll
Any
abstain.
abstentions? We have one abstention. Okay, thank you for your support and your call-in.
Thank you all very much. I hope you guys all have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next is the Greylock Glen Solar Lower PPA rate. vote to approve an amendment to the power purchase agreement. We do have representation here this evening. There he is in the back. Andreas? And when you get the podium, you can just state your name and your company.
Sure, my name's Andreas Schmidt of Select Energy.
Okay, so you have provided some paperwork here for us to review. If you don't mind, just going over what the situation is in regards to the reduction of the rate.
Sure, it's a pretty simple document that provides a lot more benefit to the town. The new Massachusetts Incentive Program, commonly referred to as SMART 3.0, which is the third iteration of the Solar Massachusetts Renewable Target Incentive Program, on June 20th, with emergency regulations filed by the Department of Energy Resources, was put forth and confirmed in terms of the values and the start date of that program. It wasn't supposed to start until the new year, sometime in 2026, but it will be starting on October 15th. And the emergency regulations also allowed us to apply into that program, which previously wouldn't have been allowed, under the draft regulations, the straw proposal as it was referred to. So now we can apply into that program, which allows the project to get a lot better incentive. So the incentive goes from 11 cents and change per kilowatt hour to over 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So that allows us to reduce the PPA rate commensurate with that. On June 23rd, the new U.S. Census data came out, which allowed all of Berkshire County, a lot of Western Massachusetts and all of Berkshire County to qualify for the investment tax credit bonus for being in an energy community zone. And the energy community zone essentially says that, due to the U.S. Census data changing, it shows that a lot of employment related to fossil fuel distribution and storage has been lost. And so this area therefore qualifies for that extra 10% tax credit on top of the base 30% tax credit, which is what we had previously been assuming for this project. So now we're able to get a 40% tax credit instead of a 30% tax credit, which enables us to reduce the PPA rate by another couple of cents. So the result is that instead of 25 cents a kilowatt hour, which was the originally signed PPA rate in the PPA document, this amendment reduces the PPA rate to 15.68 cents per kilowatt hour. So those are the basics. It's a pretty simple document, just a few pages that adjusts that Exhibit A, which states what the PPA rate is and what the incentives are that PPA rate is based on.
All right, questions from the board?
Yeah, through the chair. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you, Joe?
Good to see you. I was wondering now, what you just alluded to, was this done by the state of Massachusetts?
Both the state and the federal government.
The federal government was in on it also?
Yep, the federal tax credit is related
Right.
to
Oh,
the
it says
Treasury.
federal tax
Yep,
credit.
yep.
That's surprising. Now, what will that affect? I know it's going to be less for us, but what will it do for your bottom line? Because we're going to have to pay you.
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
Yeah, we make the same rate of return on the project as allowed by Power Options, who is looking at our books.
Okay.
Yep.
And then another question. This hasn't started yet. Is the cost for you to put these solar carports up gone up in price?
No, not at this point. We are watching the cost of steel very carefully, though, because we are at the point now where we need to order steel and get ready to erect that project. Hopefully the steel won't change by the time we're able to make that order happen, which should be very shortly.
Yeah. And another question. Where are your solar panels coming from?
The panels that we have now are warehoused in our warehouse right now. We have them in stock, and they are from South Korea.
South Korea. Okay, I think that's all I have.
So the bottom line is this benefits the town in the long run.
Yeah, the town will save approximately 40% more on the project over time.
Yep.
And the savings was already pretty good, but now it's great.
Yep. And I want to thank you for bringing this to us. Obviously, as things have changed, significantly better deal for us. So thank you for bringing it to us and this ability to do that and save a little more money.
Yeah,
Great.
my pleasure. Being a Berkshire resident, born and raised, I love working with Berkshire organizations, especially municipalities and schools, and love seeing solar projects save money for towns and schools, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Good, Ann?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have one counter statement to Jay. He's right, but it's too bad that we weren't the owners of the electric when this building was built, because that was one of the keystones, was solar. And I don't know, in the shuffle, I'm not sure, I'm just basing it thinking that we ran out of money and we didn't have the money accessible to do the solar. So we have, in my opinion, we have to have it because that's part of a net zero building.
Agreed, yeah. It still works out well, and the nice thing about it is, with the power purchase agreement, is the town doesn't have to worry about operations and maintenance at all. We take care of that, plus the insurance, plus removal of the system at the end of the PPA term. So that's off the town's plate, no worries about
And
that.
my last question, how long is this into effect? How long does this go as far as the new setup, as far as our prices that we're paying? Is this a certain amount of time before they're gonna relook at it?
I don't know if I understand your question, Joe.
Well, we're getting less, it's gonna cost us less now. Okay, so this was put in, you said, from the federal and the state in combination. Now, is there a time this is gonna be going in this direction? Or how often, in other words, will they be looking at it for changes in it? Is it in perpetuity, in forever now, that it's gonna stay that way?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
this is a
that's
fixed,
great.
it's a fixed PPA rate for 25 years. It won't change.
5 years, okay.
That's right, yep, yeah. Well, we need to start construction on the project as soon as possible to lock in those incentives. We will apply for the Smart 3.0 state incentive on October 15th, when the program opens. Once we have that incentive approved, and we had the previous incentive approved for the Smart 2.0 incentive, upon which the original PPA rate was based, but we're dropping that incentive and picking up the new one, essentially. So once that's approved and we have what's called a statement of qualification, then it's set in stone for 20 years. The incentive is set in stone for 20 years. Yeah.
Just the last thing, and I'm sorry to prolong this, but it's important to me. I know there was some discomfort from the people that live nearby and other people with the solar. Now, has that gone through a process, or has it just been frivolous and nothing has come about? Because I know it was brought to the attention, I don't know how long it went or where it went. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I'm not an attorney, so, and I'm not a member of the select board, so I would direct your questions to the town and to the town's council on those matters.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just a question on the Exhibit A, it's on page 6, which is labeled that way. So you have your 25 years, and that's the rate. What does that rate mean that's tied to each year, guarantee year?
So that, what does it state at the top?
It's avoided energy price per kilowatt hour.
Right, so that's related to the production guarantee. So in any given year, if we don't produce what we said we would, we will reimburse you for the lack of kilowatt hours produced. In other words, if we say we're going to produce 150,000 kilowatt hours and we only produce 140 in that year, you will be reimbursed for 10,000 kilowatt hours. If it was in the 10th year, we would apply the assumed rate per kilowatt hour for that 10th year, multiply it by 10,000 and reimburse you that amount. Because it's savings that you should have realized that you didn't get.
Right.
And that essentially incentivizes us to keep the system maintenance up and keep it well-maintained so that it's always producing well.
All right.
One more question, sorry.
Sure.
So Andreas, thank you. So going from, Smart 2.0 and now 3.0, let's say in the future there's a 4.0 and it's even better savings. Is that something that you would come to us, or are we locked in now?
We're locked in, like I was
Okay.
explaining to Joe. Once we have that statement of qualification and the
Yep.
project is built and energized, turned on,
Yep.
then that's the incentive and that's the
There.
PPA rate. And we will claim the 40% tax credit, and that will, affect our rate of return, and essentially support that PPA rate. And that's that.
All right, thank you,
That-
sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yep.
All right, what's the board's pleasure on this?
I'll make a motion that we approve the Greylock Glen Solar lower PPA rate, vote to approve, an amendment to the power purchase agreement.
We have a motion by Ann, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous decision, thank you.
Thank you, John. I'll coordinate with you for signature.
Okay, great.
Have a good night.
Yeah,
Thanks.
may I just interject, not to you, through the chair?
Yes.
Do you think we could get somebody from the town to come and fix that podium? I mean, every time somebody puts their arms down, it bounces
It
up.
bangs.
It's been like that for about 3-4 months.
We want to keep them at their attention.
Yeah, well, that's okay, right, until it falls on somebody.
All right, yes, we'll take a look at, so Holly's,
Okay.
take a look at that. All right, next is the Northern Berkshire Vocational Regional School District Proposed Accelerated Repair Project Discussion. Superintendent Brosnan?
Thank you. Good evening, and I appreciate. We'll get some glue on this, Joe.
Yeah. Get your boys down here.
Yeah, there we go. I'll make arrangements with Holly. We'll take care of the podium. What I wanted to pass out to everybody, I know you would receive the communications. What Melanie Meaden is passing out now is just this time frame that I'd like to go through. It's in the green and the gray, so it's a little bit easier. It's the same document you have, but I just put the packet together. Welcoming also Dave Maloney and Bruce Shepley from the school committee, sitting right behind me. It's a long time for us waiting to come before you with the plan. For the last 3 years, 2 years, a little bit more incentive last year. We've been talking about the project of the future, and now we're coming up to the present part of it. And we're very excited about that. And what I will try and do is to go through the items here, highlight that area in the schedule, and then open up to any other questions about the project, about the funding, and about the opportunities we have. Statement of interest, we had looked to with the Mass School Building Authority, and a number of years ago they had postponed their accelerated repair programs because that was during COVID, that was during the construction phase. They found an awful lot of their projects were running much higher costs, so they put the accelerated plan on hold for a while they adjusted and took care of all of those previous projects. Then they have opened up the accelerated repair program, and this is designed by the Mass School Building to take an excellent facility that needs some changing, emphasis on roofs and glass. We fit the bill perfectly. We met all of the criteria. and we worked on what's known as a statement of interest. That's about 120 pages of data and documents and pieces and parts submitted, and that was submitted in January of 2024. In February of '24. It opened up in January. We submitted it within a month. We had been working on the document to get that going. It took from that time until August of '24 for the MSBA, they sent out a team to review the school, to verify what we were saying and we were claiming would be the reasons for the projects. Did you meet the years of the construction? So we documented new roof in 1997. We certainly meet the 25. We're approaching the 30-year mark. Glass was another 25. I said 64 years, so we met that and checked those. And they sent a team out to review the entire school, walk the roof, go through everything. Once MSBA has done that to verify, which they will do with all project submissions, they concluded that, and we were invited at the end of October to submit our feasibility studies. So moving from January, going through, having the August meeting, then we end up in the fall knowing that we had to go forward with this. We then had all of the documents that we had to produce to follow up their questions after the meetings, which we did in January of 2025. Submitted in there, of course, are what's your maintenance plan, documentations, all of our facilities, verifications, the boilers, the systems, and of course, as you recall, during COVID, we replaced all of our ventilation systems. We put ERVs in the schools, and a lot of agencies did the exact same thing. What's the capital budget plan? What have you done? To that end, the last 31 years, because that's what I can verify, we have made equipment purchases and facility improvements of over $20 million in McCann. $5.5 million of that were skills capital grants, which is an outstanding program to make sure the very expensive vocational equipment we have. It gives us a funding source. We use other sources of grants, other opportunities. As you recall, our new HVAC building was built with a state grant of some $3.1 million. So at the very end of that, we then had to make our notification, which we did out to all the communities, saying, it looks like we're going forward, and we sent out the notice to communities to just say, we'll be looking for borrowing in the future. What then follows is the design. The MSBA appoints the project manager, AKA the OPM. They appoint the designer, the architect, the engineer firm, and that's Gale Incorporated. We've had an excellent experience with Gale over the years. In fact, they were the designers of the roof at McCann in 1997. So really, we had that documentation, which I'm sure saved a lot of design fees, so they knew what was there then when the new roof went down. The authorization then moves forward to OPM and designer were assigned in February. Schematic design was submitted this past June. In April, during the April vacation, some 22 engineers and designers came to McCann for 4 days, scoured the entire facility, took all the test cuts, measured, documented everything, conducted the abatement tests. That's a critical part of what this project's going to do. Did the ADA compliant review, and then came back, wrote those documents. We submitted to the MSBA, and on August 27th, the MSBA approved our project to move forward. The reason I give you that is it's a tight timeline. MSBA has their calendar, their schedule, and that's how they move this project through. What now follows in our project is looking at what we are going to do. We're going to replace a nearly 28, almost 29-year-old roof, increase the R value, stop the leakage, stop the drain, the damage that's taking place within the building and its equipment because of the leaks. We're going to replace all the single pane glass that's in the building from the original building in 1961 and 62. The thermal barriers alone and the energy savings alone will be significant. And you've been to McCann, you know that a number of those are ceiling to wall glass walls. Those will be mitigated so that the bottom parts of those are going to be solid insulated panels. The top parts will be glass. But the steel has rotted out in leaks and it's cracked. The glass is loose. And it also proposes, never mind that it's not an energy saver, it does pose a hazard and a danger because it's single pane, it cracks, it goes down like a knife. So we have a building with over 500 students walking through it every day. So the caution is keep a deep breath, make sure everything is safe, but at some point we've got to get this out to make sure it's a safe area. And in addition to those two items, we had triggered the amount, but we should be doing it too, is making the building completely handicap accessible. To do that, there are a number of projects, and we uniquely submitted to them because it made sense to us, that a lot of those projects outlined by the designer when they came in April in their reports that we submitted to MSBA. Took a little while for them to understand. They've never received this request before. I said, we are a vocational school. The school is our laboratory. If we have to mitigate door sizes, if we have to pour new concrete walks, if we have to put up signage, we have students whose major and what we're trying to teach is that subject. Allow us to do that part of the project under the tutelage of the designer. We will do it in accordance with those designs, but our CAD students will be able to go through the school, make all those designs, and submit those drawings to Gail to be officially done. Our students, a number of majors will be able to put the handicap signage up throughout the building. We'll be able to take care of mitigating thresholds because they're going to graduate in June, they're going to be working next year, and they're going to find the same problem on the same job someplace else, might as well get the experience here. They thought it was an excellent idea, and we do too. It's going to not only make it a working laboratory and participation with our students and our staff, it's also going to save money in the long run because we're talking materials, we're not talking the additional contract time and the time frame because it's a very, very tight time for all of us. We started our school year a week and a half early this year so we could extend the construction practice next June. So the intent of this project would be, if successful, is that once we have everything in place, the bids would be going out in the late November, December timeframe, opening those up in January, February, so that we're able to, I would like to start the roof in April, May, June, and then the rest of the glass replacement during the summertime. And those areas of the school that can be left off because they're not populated in classrooms like that could be done in the fall, September, October for final items. So that's the basic project timeline. MSBA, one of the higher rates of reimbursement, they'll pay 64% of the eligible costs of the project. And so as the project goes forward, we're looking, as I presented to you, and those are on the charts, where the real question comes up about how much is this going to cost? These are the tables that you have before you. We are in constant conversation with MSBA, with the OPM, and with the architects to reduce the costs of the projects, and I will tell you that I am convinced that will be something we will do, but before you, I have to have a number. And the number that I'm using is $7.4 million. And we used a 15-year average repayment on this piece. We only will borrow what we need, and that won't happen till all the bids come in anyway. The good news in the August MSBA meeting is that they proudly announced that the previous accelerated repair programs in the state, there were 26 projects and 24 came in under budget at the time. So they're very optimistic. I'm going to take that optimism and feel the same way as we go forward, and we're also working on this to reduce it. But before you, that's the number that I have to give you now. It's not the locked number. But it will not be higher, that I will be able to tell you. Part of the intricacies of this project is that we have to abate, we have to take off, and the caulking used in the 50s and 60s had asbestos in it. There are certain areas they also found lead paint. So those abatement practices have to take part as the glass is going. That's why there are no students when that activity is going to take place. And before you, that is our plan, and that is our request, and that is our ask for your support, indeed, your approval to authorize us to borrow. So I'll open it up for questions, because I'm sure, John, there will be a lot.
Yeah, so Superintendent Brosnan will be able to answer questions in regards to the project. We have our finance director, Ashley, who will be coming up to speak to us in regards to what is Adams' share. And we also have our town clerk, Haley Meзвor, who will go over which are the next agenda items, setting town meeting, if we want to go that route. Because we don't have to set the town meeting, but we'll get into that.
Right.
Okay, so any questions? Let's start with the project itself, with the roof, the windows, handicap accessibility. Is there any questions from the board in regards to the project itself? Or statements?
It's well overdue, and let's face it, I mean, I'm surprised that you let it get this far along before you started to think about doing something. Personally, 29 years.
You know, we're frugal.
Yeah,
We're
I
good
was just gonna
stewards
say
of
that.
all of our dollars and monies, and quite frankly, up until the last couple of years, it was holding. Okay,
Yeah.
we can patch it, we can fix it. It's not, last couple of years, it really opened up, and those that are repairing it said, nah, it's shot. So we got into, I think a little bit of this was our planning, that we knew we had a time frame, and MSBA looks at roofs after 25 years, then you're into the project. So we were kind of bound by that a little bit. So our sweet spot is just right now. And again, any delay is more expensive. I think we're all familiar with that. If we do it a year from now or 2 years from now, it's just gonna cost more. But we do have to get that done. And these are the necessities, the single pane glass. And then, of course, the ADA. And I think the thing that excites us more is the fact that our students and staff can participate in that project and take that ownership and pride to say, I fixed that, I did that, but I learned that. And now I know what that expectation is in my future professional career. So that's a highlight for us as well.
Yep. And another thing, you said that you've been there 31 years?
Yes, yes.
Well, you reverse that, and you'll get 13, so I'm serving, this is my 13th year, and I think every time that you've come here for 13 years, I brought that up to you about single pane windows and a roof that's 29 years old. I know that, these flat roofs, they have much better materials now than they have in the past for insulation and so on and so forth, the rubberization of the material. But Hoosick Valley just had some work done on their roof not too long ago, and it's leaking like a sieve,
Yeah.
in places. So I want to hear the financials of it, but, it has to be done. I mean, if it's not done, the school loses, and I think the students lose because they're in a climate that they shouldn't be. And I was going to ask you, because I think when the person that's going to be hopefully doing the memorial school came forth, and there's asbestos in that old caulking. And that school was built in 1951, I think, opened in 51. So I'm glad that they caught that, but for how glass has improved for so many years, and you got those single pane, I remember going there. Yeah, right, boy, the cold weather, there was frost all over them.
And write the name on it.
Yeah, right, exactly, but.
Hopefully not other things.
That's what, I just have a few ideas, and the last thing I'll say, did you hear that gentleman that was here prior to you about
Yes, I
solar?
did. Yes, I did, and I knew it was gonna come up.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't address it till you did. But part of this is the phase two. Part of
Right.
this is MSBA requires that the roofs be solar ready, and there's you gotta meet that threshold. So we're meeting that threshold for solar ready.
Yeah.
Not to get involved with the project, but to say in the future, you can elect, and if things so meet it, to
You
make that
can't have a better
expectation.
reveal than you do at that site, with the field there, and it's just perfect. Okay, that's all I have on the building envelope, I guess.
Anyone else?
Superintendent Browson, I want to thank you for addressing the glass. I've sat in many meetings with Joe over the years in budgetary, so there'll be one less question we'll get from here on out, right? But my only question is, in terms of the borrowing itself in this project, it's just strictly for the roof and the glass. I know you mentioned the ADA compliance.
Part of the AD, part of that is there are some parts
It's
of that
all
that
part
have
of
to be
that
done.
together.
Yeah, the whole project is
Yeah.
one. MSBA does one project. We were able to reduce that cost by saying, we'll take this portion of it. And they said, okay, there are some handicapped toilets, there are walls that have to be cut down and made. There are certain things that we cannot do, couldn't do it, that are part of that. Lifts, the installation of lifts and stairwells and that type of thing.
Okay.
That are part of the contractual part of it. But the bulk of it was, you know, they might have had 143 items to us, and a lot of them were the rates of speed of the closing of the door closers. It could be the thresholds. Well, we can take those out, we can fix those thresholds, remount them, and take that out of the project itself. So it's those types of things.
Okay, all right, thanks for that clarification. That's all I have.
So I got to say, I'm really excited that you are getting your students involved in this. I think I have some family member, I had a family member graduate from there. Unfortunately, he chose not to follow the route, and he was good at it. But I have other family that have gone through and friends, and I compliment you on what you do for the
Thank you.
the trade industry that we vitally need, and we will help, I'm sure.
I appreciate that. We certainly, that's our value in everybody in town. You know who the McCann grads are, you know they're around the corner, they're your neighbor, they're fixing your vehicle, they're the dental assistant, they're the medical, they're the designer, the carpenter, the electrician. So we're in the community, and we'll always be in the community. And we have cared for that building, taken really good care of it, so we don't have to tear it down, build a new one, and move on. So, it'll live another 50, 60 years, if not, longer. I won't be here to see this the next 60 years, but, I'm sure somebody will read the minutes of this meeting and say, yeah, he was right, it's still there. So we were very proud of that piece, and this is just, okay, we've got to do this, and then walk away and not see you for another 30 years. In terms of facilities.
So I believe it was in your communication that each of the towns that are part of this district, other than North Adams, can determine if they want to have a special town meeting or not.
Yes, you have from the date of notification, and we'll put that date that somebody walked in and the clerk signed, received, you have 60 days. If you do not disapprove within 60 days, it's an automatic approval.
Okay.
And that's that part of the statute. And then the other is, you have a special town meeting, you set that date. There could be communities that have other items that they might want to have with a special town meeting, and they use this as one, and you can do it that way as well. As I said, what we put forth to you for planning purposes on the fiscal end is, this is what we are tabbing today that we would need to borrow based on the MSBA calculations of the 3011 form they have, and that's 7.4 million. We're working as hard as we can to get that figure down, so the actual will be less. The percentage Adams pays versus all other communities is part of the district agreement, and that stays the same, so that would stay out throughout. FY27 would be interest only, and so the pay down of principal and interest won't start till FY28.
Okay. I'd like to thank you, Superintendent Browse. I'd like to have Haley Meserwar come up. We'll stick with the
May I
agenda.
just, I thought that you mentioned we were just talking about the building.
Yep, right now we are. Yep.
Well, then I guess it's time for me to jump in because finances have been mentioned. Now, I know that you have, people from different towns coming in. Does every community have to okay it? Or-
Yes.
Okay,
Has to be unanimous.
okay,
If one community says no, project's off.
yeah, that might be a hard sell for some, I hope not.
Well received this evening, as I
Yeah,
can tell
right,
from
right,
there.
yeah.
Well received in Cheshire last evening.
Yeah.
Verbals back and forth
Right.
with, I set up the meetings and future meetings.
The reason I say it, Jim, is because they had trouble with Wacona, some of the rural areas, and, they couldn't get a good consensus. I think finally they did, if I'm correct. Is that correct?
I believe, yes.
I don't know if all of them okayed it, but if you had a certain number, that's the reason I asked you, so all the communities will have to agree.
We have
with
9
it.
communities, we have 8 towns in the
Right.
city of North Adams.
Right.
And so in the case here, the towns have that option, and that's why I mentioned the 60 days. Okay, it's automatic and we move on, which is a tacit approval of what we're doing without voting to approve. You just don't vote to disapprove, because your vote is to disapprove. And from that piece, then the city council has theirs, the separate piece.
So-
Once that's in, we verify that after that time period with MSBA, and then they begin the financial agreements with us. And by that time, we'll have a better idea of the project cost, even before we go to bid, to say if it's lower, it'll be lower, so we can, but at least we needed to put a table out to say, okay, this is what it could be, and I'll call it worst case borrow, 7.4.
So I'm assuming, and I hope you do so, to go to all the communities.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did
Go to
Cheshire
all-
last night. I will be, I'm in Adams tonight. I'll be in Florida next Wednesday. I'll be in Williamstown on the 29th. I will be at the special town meeting in Savoy on October 1st. And tomorrow I got 4 more. We're exchanging emails back and forth about dates you can come and meet. So I think within the next 2 weeks I'll be everywhere to do that. I spoke to the mayor this morning and said, all right, we'll set up a time. So
Okay.
I'm sure we'll be there too. And I appreciate coming out and the opportunity, and as always, your support,
Yeah.
what we do.
Uh-oh, here comes this.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
God damn. Yeah.
The idea though is that if for some reason this doesn't pass, the next time it may be all on us. The building assistant folks may not look kindly on a second application if we've turned it down. And this is small money to spend when you see regular not vocational, but academic high schools that are, certainly they're well over $150 million. Vocational schools, they're spending $300 million in tearing buildings down that were a lot newer than ours. And this building is certainly worth the investment to continue doing what we do.
Yeah, I'd like to just say on your point, I find it kind of ridiculous that they allow, new buildings, the state to allow, the building of new schools at this time, particularly with the population dropping. So then if consolidation comes about, which there may be a need for, these schools that are relatively new, they're not going to want to give up, not having students or going there. So I agree with what you said. I don't know why the state of Massachusetts allows it. There's money in it for them, I believe, but that's probably a little away from the topic, but what you brought up is really important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, for the project, sure.
Yeah, about the project. One more question, and you don't have to go into crazy detail here.
No.
As you mentioned the start date around June 2026 if everything goes
Yes.
through.
Yeah.
Do you know estimated timelines of how long this is going to take? Obviously, it'll get you through a summer, but I imagine it might go into the school year a little bit. Do you have
Yeah, that
backup
was
plans?
just kind of reference that a little, Jay,
Yeah.
that there are certain areas of the building on the glass replacement that aren't student-centric, more office areas than anything else. I have outlined, for lack of a better term, a green, amber, red, and the design. The designers are going to be here next Thursday and Friday reviewing everything, putting time estimates. Felt that the 12, 14 weeks for that part of the project was realistic, which is why we changed the calendar this year, came back to school early, so we have a bigger June. And then if we have to stretch that out, there are certain areas in that red category, yeah, you can do my office anytime you want, I mean, there are certain areas that are where it's minimal student. We can close the library and you can do the whole library wall, and that's, having been there, that's a ceiling to, and that's part of what we have. We got glass and windows. We also have walls that are nothing but glass from ceiling to ground level. And those frames all have to be taken out, but they have to be abated first and out. So the bigger parts of that is what they're looking. And they'll find out, I'll have a better idea, but on our initial conversations, they felt it was doable. The reason we did the roof in '97, and I know that about the time it takes, I went over the time frame with them, and that's something we can do while we're in session, and that's the goal, because if I try to do window replacement and roof all at the same time, not gonna make it. And the other issue is if you're doing a roof in the April, May, June timeframe, that's hopefully a better price for a roofing company that all schools are doing June, July, and August. So if they don't have the work and that project can be done before they get to the next round, it's almost like putting in an extra job. So that's what we're hoping for. Weather is also much more conducive. One thing I don't want to do is be a roofer in July and August, because that is brutal. So that's pretty much if that answers your question.
No, it does. It seems like
Yeah.
it's a well-thought-out plan,
Yeah.
and you put a lot of
A
contingency.
lot of what we're doing, there'll be some of the rampway, walkway things that we'll do in the back of the building that we will be doing this fall, and then another in the spring.
Okay.
And we'll be doing, once those drawings are approved, we'll be doing some of the changes within the building so that concurrently, even before they start, because that has to be done, so let's go do it, and we'll get those things done. We changed all the ventilation in our kitchens this summer. Part of what we did is coordinate that design with the roof architects to make sure that we put the new units up, that we had the right height and we had the right measurements. So they confirmed, and we installed 3 new units to the exact height that they needed, that they would do, rather than we changed it, put them in low, and they have to all be taken out again. It just made no sense. So we're trying to follow this up and collaborate where we can to.
No, sounds great.
Just like they do in the Senate or the House, I just want a yes or no answer. Now, this will have to be union rate, right?
Oh, yeah, these are all
Once
prevailing,
it's in
yeah,
the school. I
absolutely.
just wanted to
Yep.
make that known.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
also, Gail, you said they've done a lot of work for you. Did you have to go out for bids on
No.
that?
MSBA appoints the
Yes or
project.
no answer, please. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No. And the follow-up is, MSBA takes all that away from all the schools. On accelerated repair projects, schools don't have time to go through. There's another 60, 90 days of procurement process. They appoint the project manager, the OPM, and they appoint the architect. So they have a group of companies, and they say, okay, you get the McCann job, and you get the McCann job, you get the other job, you get the... They're running 24, 25 of these a year.
Yeah.
So companies might have multiples, I haven't asked them, but I think they spread it out, and by over the years, I think they've worked with companies, and they're saying, we can depend and trust on what they're doing.
So you petitioned for them?
No, I didn't say a word,
Oddly
luck of the
give
draw.
you? That's good.
Absolute luck of the draw. And their principal was the same guy that was was working for the company as a designer back in 1996, 97. So we sent a note, remembered each other, and said, okay. So I went to my closet, took out 2 boxes of all the documents and shipped them to them, because that gave them all the investigative piece of what the substrate of the roof was then, and the entire engineered design cost of what fixed what at the time, so the analysis. So I'm sure that they did say it saved us a lot of time. And time being money, let's, do whatever we
Thank you,
can.
Jim.
You're welcome.
Okay, and the superintendent and school committee have kept the board up to date on the situation over the last few years during budget season, so we're well aware of the windows and roof status. I'd like to move on, as per the agenda, is have Haley, as will come up, our town clerk, and if the board decides, do so, the special town meeting, and there's also going to be a vote that needs to be taken. So, Haley?
So depending on what the board decides to do tonight, if you want to move forward with a special town meeting, then we would need to set that tonight if possible. I don't know what the board's pleasure is. Obviously, Superintendent Brosnan said if the town doesn't take any action, then it's just automatically approved.
So it will be your decision tonight to decide if you want to move forward with a special town meeting to bring it to our representative town meeting members.
I think we'll wait just to hear the financial impacts prior to making that decision.
Okay, so we'll skip that one and we'll go, we'll skip F and maybe we'll move down to G and have our finance director come up and talk to you a little bit about the finances.
I got one question, John, if that's okay. So 60 days is when we have to have everything figured out by. Is that from the September 4th date that was on the letter?
I believe that was when it was
Is that the
delivered
initial date?
to interim TA Howie Jacob.
September 4th.
Okay, so we have 60 days from September 4th.
Right, so that puts us right around the November 4th timeframe.
Okay, that's all I have.
I think the 5th.
You want to go with
If the letter is the 4th, we walked in with a hand.
On the 5th, yes, you did,
Right,
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well,
Take that extra
November
day.
5th.
No. You got the extra day.
Ashley Sacco, Finance Director. I'm here to present you the two options that we have for this. So based off the memo that I provided for you, I know that everything keeps referring to 15 years. I'm doing I have to include that interest-only payment from for FY '27, so that's why your sheet will say 16 years versus the 15 years. So our share for Adams is the 18.9%. Our two options would be, and I'm just going to quickly say the two options, and then I'm going to go into detail of those two options. One of them would be to try to absorb it within our budget. The second option would be to hold a special town meeting and do a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion override. So I'm going to go into the first option I gave you, which would be trying to absorb it in our budget. I'm going to tell you that is not possible based off of our levy limit is approximately $350,000. That's not including new growth. The amount that we would need to pay for the very first complete full payment, because that's the first and highest one, which will be FY '28 of the 146,410. That's close to 42% of our levy limit. We wouldn't be able to function the town properly. So with that stated, I'm going to open that for any questions on that before I go into the other one, unless you would like me to talk about the other option before I open it to
We
questions.
talk about the other option, then we'll
Okay.
have questions on it. We'll go both of us.
So my recommendation as the finance director is to have the board hold a special town meeting with a prompt 2.5 debt exclusion override within the town meeting vote. This would allow the town to meet the obligation of the capital payments without compromising the personnel and operating budget. The initial calculation based off the first complete payment, when I say that, I'm referring to the FY '28 first full payment, would add approximately 18 cents to the tax rate. I'm open for any questions.
Okay, the interest is the first year, right, which is.
The
FY
first year would be for FY '27 is interest only, which is the $56,222
That's what we would owe for that.
for the
fiscal
very
year.
first one. So obviously, the debt exclusion over, that amount wouldn't be as high. I'm giving you what the highest would be, so you have the full knowledge. I don't want to give you based off of 56,000, because it's going to be higher. So that's why I'm going based off of our very first initial payment for FY '28 of the $146,410.
So going that route would be similar to the high school renovation project, right?
Correct.
Which the high school renovation project is about $1 against the tax rate, give or take.
At this moment in time is $1.02.
$1.02.
Yes.
Which the taxpayer pays. So this would be very similar to that. We'd have another one,
Correct.
right? Which would cost the taxpayer
Approximately, the very first full payment would be 18 cents.
18 cents on the tax rate.
Correct.
Questions for the board in regards to the financial aspect of this over the next 15 years, correct? 16?
16 when you include the first payment of just interest only.
You said something, Ashley, about 42% of the levy limit. Could you explain that?
So based off of, I went right onto the DLS website, pulled what our levy limit is, and it's approximately $350,000. So if I to take the amount that we're gonna pay for that first payment, it's close to 42% of our levy limit. So we would only have the balance of that to basically operate the town.
Which would be a major reduction in regards to the budget for the
Correct.
town from
It would put us in a,
last several years.
yes, it would put us in a situation of where cuts would have to be either a chance of cuts being made or things that we don't want to happen. That's the best way I could put it. We just couldn't do it.
Ashley, I think, obviously, there's a bunch of terms on here, but can you explain what a Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion override would be, just so people are understanding what that means?
I am still learning on this. This is very new to me. We only have one. Exactly, I guess, what are you looking for? Like how we handle it? Or how it will be processed?
Yeah, how it will be processed. This goes for the length of the project.
So it would be on the bill and it would, so I'll try to.
And
do
how does
this.
it count against our tax rate, you
So
know?
it's very similar when you get when you get your warrant book on the back of it, it breaks down what all our valuation gives are, how much we are taxed as residents. So I'm just throwing approximate numbers off the top of my head. I do not have my book with me. If the tax rate was only $17.55, currently right now, the debt exclusion would give it $1.02. So now we'll have a second line that will say another debt exclusion, and it will have the abbreviation of Northern Berkshire Vocational School District, and it will have the 18 cents, and then obviously it will change and go down once the more we pay off. It'll take a little bit for it to go down. The first year, like I said, won't be as high as the 18 cents. It's approximately about 7 to 8 cents. And then that's how it'll be held, and it'll be on there until FY42.
And it won't count against us in terms of Proposition 2.5 for the tax rate, correct? That's what it means?
Because it separates it.
It's
Yes.
separate, yeah, so that whole
Correct,
process,
yes, it
so.
completely separates it from it, so we
Yes.
don't get into those situations.
Yes, so it won't count against us
Yes,
when
we'll
we're
have to
up
have-
against the levy limit. It's separate in the budget, so we don't
Correct.
necessarily have to
Correct.
worry about it coming on when it comes to budget season. It's there, it's separate. Same thing with the school
It's
renovation project.
I'm not gonna say identical, but it is the exact same situation of them asking to borrow the money and the way that we have it. It's just gonna be handled almost the exact same
Yep.
way.
The taxpayers will still be paying this project. It would just sit outside the Proposition 2.5.
Correct. And they'll see, when it goes through the town meeting and everything will be labeled out. It will be put out there right for you, so you know this is the Hoosick Valley High School debt exclusion, and then it will be the Northern Berkshire, so we'll be able to see it, so no, it's not confused of, like, they're not gonna get added together or anything, they are separate items. So you'll be able to have all the information and know which one you're paying on.
Then,
Hopefully I didn't bog it down.
You all set?
No, yeah, hopefully I didn't bog that down.
Good question. Now, you're saying 8 cents, that's 8 cents on 1,000, right? So what is a valuation now? How does that work? Where does 8 cents come in? When you said 8 cents, it's gonna be 8 cents. I didn't get that.
I think it was just an example.
Just an example?
I think she was just giving an example number, right?
That's the interest-only year.
Yes, the interest year, so when the very first full payment comes out, when we pay the initial one, if everything goes through, on FY28, it would be 18 cents. So it's treated exactly the same as the Hoosick Valley one, which is the $1.02 currently right now. The approximate 8 cents, give or take 7 to 8 cents, will be for the first payment. So instead of saying 18 cents, you'll only see the 7. It'll be just for the first payment, but again, that is a approximate number. That is nothing set in stone until everything is finalized.
And that's for fiscal year 27.
Correct, that's our first payment, it's only interest.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm asking you, so when I receive my tax bill, should we vote for this? Because of this, if we okayed it, my taxes are only gonna go up 18 cents?
No.
Right, that's what I mean.
Per thousand evaluation.
Right, that's
Yes.
what I, was
Yes,
getting
sorry,
at.
I'm sorry, I wasn't following what you were asking
Yeah,
for, my apologies. Yes, it's not just 18 cents on it, your tax bill will go
right.
up.
That's what it seemed like you were.
Sorry, that is
Okay.
not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So the, Superintendent Brosnan, the bond, I'm not sure what is it a total bond that is taken out for this whole project? And we have our cut that we have to pay. I thought I read it was like 3% you were trying to get to?
Is this form?
Your interest rate?
Yeah, interest rate.
On here right now, it's assumed at 3.75, but that's just assumed rate.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah, soon we go through. Part of what I have is the
It's on your spreadsheet, the larger one. It does, the third row in, it says estimated bond interest 3.75.
That's an estimate, hopefully it'll be lower.
Yes, we're working on both those, but that's, and that fits, each community is unique in that end, so when you get up to the tax levy, you gotta look at those things, does the exclusion fit? You do have, there are for those town meetings. The approved MSBA, all of the, any vote ever taken at town meeting or anything has to be on the approved
Yes.
MSBA. We have those, but, so we'll get with that. Should that be, what else?
So our percentage that we pay each year is based off of the US Census that was taken 2020?
Yeah, the last one, once locked, it doesn't change over the 15 years. Okay.
Right.
You know.
Even though you may have another census, it's going to be locked
Right,
in.
and that's our DLS, that's the DOR, they put those together, they come up with the EQV, and that's your equalized valuation, your population, and by the district agreement, that's laid out, you take this number, that number, add them, divide by 2, that's your percent. And so that always stays on capital projects, looking through those ends. The city of North Adams is 27.65. The town of Williamstown is
24.
5%. No, yours is 18.
0.97.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the board decides to try to find the funding in the budget, we're most likely going to have to go for Proposition 2.5 override, and it's going to be a pretty good hit on our yearly budget. And then we also have going the route that we have with the previous high school renovation as a...
You have Carol's arm is up.
I haven't seen your arm being... You got to get up
I
there.
just understand the rationale behind that, Ashley, from you. The $156,000 or $146,000 within the budget, you're saying that we can't find any way to manage that because we would have to make significant cuts. I got a little confused when you were talking about the levy limit, so just explain the rationale for not being able to manage it within the budget. Thank you.
So what I did for that is I went onto the DLS website, pulled our levy limit for FY26, and it stated it was approximately about $350,000. If I take that, just take that amount for the first full payment of $146,410, that's 42% of our levy
I
limit.
understand that, but what's the rationale of not trying to find the $150,000 within the budget?
I truly just don't think we would be able to do it. Based off of everything's gonna be going up. We know health insurance is always going up. Cost of everything's going up. We've already level funded many years. I couldn't see us shorting ourselves and not being able to run the town just to try to add it to the budget and then wonder what happens the following year. Because this is not just 1 year, we'll have to keep thinking of it every single year. And I truly I'm not comfortable, I can't recommend that. I can be completely honest with you, I can't recommend that.
So there's only so much we can spend developing our budget for next year. If we go with the budget, we're already going to be
Shorted.
short the amount.
Next year is only,
And then we add the schools, we add everything that's, that has to be in there. My opinion is that that's going to cause a 2.5 override because we just don't have that levy limit capacity to handle a budget plus the additional 100 and whatever thousand it is for the second year going forward, and being able to be under 2.5. And I think you know the reasons why, because of the savings has gone down a little bit. So we would have to do, in my opinion, we'd have to do a 2.5 override just to be able to pay for this within the budget that
debt
we
exclusion,
have.
yes.
We wouldn't have the levy limit to for the whole budget to stay under without hitting that 2.5 override.
I just definitely don't want to compromise us being able to run the town in general of our own responsibilities.
Yeah, I'd like to say, that brings me to a point that I've been saying for years. We've been overspending our means for quite some time. We've been drinking wine instead of drinking draft beer. And, you know, it's time that we have to make some decisions in this community. And sometimes it hurts people when you have to do it. But we can't continue to go on like this. I mean, the taxpayer of this community, that's the thing I hear so much from people, because I'm around the common folk. And the first thing they say, what the hell, how are we gonna pay our taxes? And, you know, we give a song and a dance, and I understand property taxes are lifeline to paying bills and things, but I don't know, I just felt that we've overspent on salaries and things that go along with the salaries, you know, the benefits, and as Ashley mentioned, those are unknowns when it comes to health insurance, and perhaps maybe we can take $250,000, taxpayers wouldn't like it, to defray the cost of taxes, but the problem there is that we're hurting the taxpayer. And we're in a poverty-stricken community, and that's well known. To your group, John, 53%, they said in Berkshire Regional Planning that just came out, are having a hard time making it, and that's the whole county. So if you pinpoint Adams and North Adams, I bet you, you know, that's way above 53. So you get to the more affluent communities, and that makes the percentage a little deceiving. So I don't know, this is a big decision for us.
So I drink Pabst in my common folk. Okay, so we have to make a decision here. If we're going, I'm sorry, if I don't see someone in the audience, just holler out.
Me
Oh,
this time.
Just a minute.
Yeah, sorry. So Ashley, you laid out the two options, okay? What do those two options look like? What are the process moving forward between the options? 'Cause we're gonna have to choose an option here, but what are the, if we choose to absorb it, is that something the finance committee has to look at and approve? Is that
That's
something that
just
the
gonna,
board of
it'll be
selectmen
something when
does?
I develop the budget, I will have to that'll be the first thing. When I develop budget, it's all the fixed costs, the school's going first. So that amount of money will go in, and then what is left is what we would have to run the town. And then it would come down to figuring out between the board and the town administrator at the time of where to make the cuts, because there will not be enough funds to run.
Okay, and then if we choose to do the Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion override, what's that process look like? Yeah.
You've got that more information than I do,
Before we
exactly
make a
that
decision,
process
maybe.
of it all.
So depending on what you decide tonight, if you decide that you want to do a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion, that would require a vote from our town voters here in town. So we would have to schedule a special town election in order to have that happen, similar to what we did in 2010 for Hoosick Valley.
Okay, and then town meeting also has to vote
Right,
that
it would
as
go
well.
to, right, it would have to go to town meeting, obviously, and then after town meeting, then it would go to an election.
So the voters and the town meeting members will have their say.
Yes.
Somebody has a right.
Yes, you can.
Does it have to be all or nothing? Does it have to be the whole thing goes into a special line item, or none of it does?
It has to be.
You can't do like half of it.
Right, you can't do 70,000 for fiscal year 28.
They're going to take the
budget.
loan out, and we have to find the money, so this is the way to do it. To create the loan, we can't just pay, like, say, we want to pay a couple years of it, and then take it,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I know, you're
pay
saying
for it
like
or
half
not,
and
you
half.
do,
Oh.
right. Say, okay, we'll absorb this much in our
No.
budget, and this percentage we'll put as a, okay, thank you.
And lastly, I'll say, if it goes in front of the town meeting members, things that I just echoed may play detrimental.
Yes, and Superintendent Brosnan will be their support with the
Yeah.
school committee, and we'll have, see you there, okay.
So what do you
the logic is before you, and you understand that piece. It is the will of the voters at the time and all that.
Exactly.
And as I mentioned, you know, we are one together, because the district's been 9, originally 7, and in all communities the same. Okay, take a deep breath. But we, you know, my message to everybody in the town of Adams is, you know, we came to you really once. We came to you in 97 for 1.2 million. We came to you in 2010 for 750,000. And now we're coming for this larger figure for a bigger project, but we don't come often. And we take care of the facility, which everybody understands. You gotta take care of the facility. You know, buildings need roofs. You know, glass needs to be changed. So it's nothing elaborate, it's nothing exotic. It's kind of the basics going forward. So with your, yes, I'll be at those meetings, should they be there.
Many, yes. Okay, so the first order would be for the board to set a special town meeting day, correct?
If that's what you so choose to do,
If
yes.
that's what we so choose to do. What is the board's pleasure?
Can I ask one more question before we get to, I'm sorry, I got a lot of questions tonight. What is the financial impact for holding another special election and a town meeting? Because I know there'll probably be a financial impact to the budget this year with that. It's unanticipated.
I did not figure out for a special town meeting, but at this point, I would say it's minimal because it's more postage and everything else would be done in-house. All the mailing would be done in-house as opposed to sending it out to the printers and then having it mailed out. So we would have to do 2 mailings to our town meeting membership, roughly, so whatever that postage is. As far as setting a special election, that's a little more costly, unfortunately, because we have to program machines and we have to get ballots and we have to set up the facility and we have to bring in our election workers. So a rough estimate, and I'm going to say this is rough, roughly $6,000. I would hope that it's a little bit cheaper than that, depending on the cost of printing the ballots. And as you all know, our May election ballot is more complicated because it's double-sided and it has to be programmed 5 different ways because we have 5 precincts. This would only be one programming for each of the machines because it would just be one question on the ballot. So hopefully that would be a little cheaper, but rough estimate is roughly $6,000.
But wouldn't that put, if we had an election in May, that put over the deadline that
We cannot have it in May. We have to do it within
Right.
90 days of
Okay,
if you
right.
so decide to do a special
Right.
town meeting, it's
Okay.
got to be within 90
Yeah.
days.
because that doesn't fit the timeline for what needs to be accomplished.
Right, and as Mr. Brosnan, Superintendent Brosnan said, they want to get going on this as soon as possible. So holding an election further out into like December or the beginning of January would put his time frame, without knowing, would put him out even further. So that's why on the agenda, there is a proposed date, but the board is certainly willing to do what they want to do, whatever you vote.
Okay, what is the board's direction here?
Can I ask 2 questions?
Yes, go ahead. Well, can you please come up though, Kathy? Thank you.
So I want to ask Ashley, if it goes to a town meeting vote, would it be for a debt exclusion?
Yes.
Or would it be for an override?
It'll be a debt exclusion.
And why can't we pay some of it from the budget and only do a debt exclusion of the remaining balance? Why, what would prevent us from doing that?
To be honest,
I don't
I
even
think
know
that's how it
what would
works.
be, even. And I don't even know if that's legal, but to say that we're only gonna do half of each payment would be difficult to do in a debt exclusion on that.
we won't, because every year the amount goes down, so it would change. Anytime this has ever happened, it's always all or nothing.
But it doesn't have to be.
I'm
I mean,
not
could
gonna
we
say
find
yes or no,
out
because I
before
don't
we
know.
commit to something? I mean,
We are in
could
a
we-
time crunch, that's the issue.
I mean,
Nobody in town even knew anything about this until tonight. So like, how
And
much of a hurry do we want to be to make a decision that's making everybody's taxes go up?
well, the bottom line here though, unfortunately, sorry, Chairman, can I speak?
Sure, go ahead.
The bottom line here, though, is that the town obviously needs to make a decision within 60 days and then move forward with, if, depending on what they want to do, if they want to go to a ballot. So, time is ticking, unfortunately.
The board meets twice a month. I would hope the board would get some answers to some of these questions before they just vote to do something without having all the answers.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
The 60-day timeline from the school, if we don't respond, it's a yes.
Right, so we respond, but I mean, we don't have to respond tonight, right?
You
What day is
want-
today?
No, that's why we're setting up these meetings, is so that we can respond, so that everyone has a chance to.
The actual town meeting members.
An
would
actual
have
town meeting
option.
member can say yes or no.
But I mean, we have town council. Can't we ask somebody about the legalities of something that nobody here seems to be really sure of?
Can I speak?
Yeah.
Sorry. So Chairman Duval, tonight is really just setting the special town meeting. It's deciding whether or not you want to do a debt exclusion to exempt it from Prop 2.5 tonight. Ms. Foster's questions can certainly be answered before the next Board of Selectmen meeting, which I believe will be October 1st. And that, at that point, you would be setting the warrant anyways. The warrant hasn't been
So this
written
time,
up. So at this time, we can look into that to see if that's a possibility. I'm not quite sure that it is, but we can certainly look into it and check with our DOR rep to see if that's a possibility to do half and half.
That's a
But
better
I'm not
plan.
quite sure that it can be. But then again, that would still be tying the town's hands when you're talking about the levy limit.
You're still
But we
taking
can,
it
but we
away.
can check into that and certainly report to you on October 1st.
Sounds better.
All right.
Tonight is really just setting these things into motion, these dates into
Getting me
motion.
going, we have a time limit to do that, so we need to get started this evening. What is the board's pleasure here? The first item will be to set special town meeting date, if you want to go that route, which would be Tuesday, October 28th, 2025.
My only question is, do we have to make a recommendation tonight before we even set that?
No, tonight you would just be setting the special town meeting date. You wouldn't be doing the warrant tonight.
Right,
Okay, that would be the warrant,
opens,
okay.
We will finalize the warrant on October 1st.
Okay,
So it gives people time to ask questions and come back, and
okay.
we're just opening it like we do every year for budget.
Can I just ask quickly, Ashley, one thing? You said there was 2 routes we could go. One was an override, and what's the other?
Absorbing into our budget.
Broken into our budget. Do we have to choose which one we'd like to do before we decide on a meeting?
Yes, we're deciding that this evening. If we go with the current budget, we would start the budget season off with a negative, well, the second year would be 100, was it 140?
The first year would be $56,222 would be
Right.
right off the bat, and then the following year is $146,410.
Right, which would be cut right from the budget as soon as we start, so. And there's other impacts to that with the levy limit, and we just don't know at this point all the information, but
So we can either say yes tonight as a select board, or we can essentially have the voters and town meeting members have a say.
that's what I would, that's my
Is that the-
recommendation, is to let the voters, the town meeting members and all the voters of this community make the decision, you know, that's the way I think it should be.
That's the way I think it should be also.
All right. So first we need to set a town meeting date, is that the first thing?
Yes, according to the agenda, which would be 6E.
Yep.
Is the first motion we'll need to set the town meeting date, so our town meeting members can be informed and after we close the warrant, we'll can start that process.
I'll make a motion that we set the special town meeting date of Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, to be held at the Adams Memorial Building Gymnasium, 30 Columbia Street, Adams, at 6 PM.
Motion by Jay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ann. Any final discussion?
Is that date available? Has that been vetted for potential?
Yes, I have spoken briefly with Mr. Mackin about using the gymnasium, and after tonight's meeting, I will make contact with him to make sure that that's okay. And I have spoken with the moderator, and she is available to do the meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. Next, we will vote to open special town meeting warrant and set special town meeting warrant closing date as of September 24th.
I'll make a motion that we open the special town meeting warrant, and we set the special town meeting warrant closing date as September 24th, 2025 at 5 PM.
I'll second.
Motion by Jay, second by Ann. Now, I believe that there's still a opportunity for the citizens to submit a citizens petition, as we've always done. We're going to keep
Correct,
that
yep.
precedence, so you have a week if there's something they would like to get on this agenda. So we have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Okay, so the warrant is open this evening, and it'll be, yes, closing on the 24th.
We have,
It's okay, please.
The Finance Committee meeting.
We do, and I was just thinking that in my mind, we have to fit in a finance committee meeting prior to the special town meeting, right?
So once the warrant is set, the plan is to set the warrant on October 1st. Once the warrant is set, it will go to the Finance Committee for recommendation. If the Finance Committee would like to have a meeting prior to that to hear all about this, then it would need to be scheduled.
Sorry.
Okay? Are we good with that? Okay.
Okay? Where are we with that vote? Did we order?
And that, we're
All right,
good?
thank you.
Okay.
It's a long meeting. All right, so next, as we did with the Hoosick Valley renovation project, we did have a town-wide vote. So this will be a special town election. We need to set a date, and proposed is Tuesday, November 4th. And that's just, is that a?
That was just thrown out there as a placeholder. One of the reasons that it was picked was because it would be within the time frame. The board does need to vote 35 days in advance of running a special election. That would give us that time frame if it's done this evening. Obviously, if you want to hold off and you want to discuss this further, if you want to go for an exclusion from Prop 2.5 and you want to wait and discuss that on October 1st, it's really strictly up to you. But that would then put an election further out. As we all know, the town does not have an election on November 4th because we are not a city. But that date was just thrown out because it would be an election day, and maybe that would entice our voters to come out and vote. But either way.
It's a normal
Right.
election date.
Right, it's just a normal election date for.
For a state and federal
Right.
office.
Right.
Okay,
So
we can
it-
set this now, and then if we come back and say,
May I ask you though, Haley?
Yep.
Are there any special, I know at the convention, there was a lot of, well, what's the term when you're discussing changes, like issues?
Like questions?
Yeah, issues, right, and questions. Are
Yes.
there any of those coming forward, November 4th?
This will not, no, the town typically, our town typically will not have an election on November 4th. You will see questions on November of 2026.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So it's, I'm going to leave it up to the board. Again, if you want to hold off, that's perfectly fine. It's just it's pushing us closer into the holiday season and, change of weather. But I don't know what the feeling is of the board on, what Ashley was recommending, if that's something that you want to do.
okay. Do we have a motion from the board? We can set this date, change it in the future if we have to. At least we have a date set. Then we can, see how the process goes. But
This will kind of set things in motion, though, for me, because I have legwork to get done to make this happen.
Sure.
So,
I'll make a motion for the discussion of special town election and set date proposed Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Adams Memorial Building Gymnasium at 30 Columbia Street, Adams.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second that. Discussion.
Does this election have to fall within that 60 days time frame too, or is this all completely separate?
this election needs to fall within 90 days of the special town meeting date.
Okay.
So it would have to fall within, from October 28th, within the 90 days.
And that, you know, we've had trouble in the past with some of the snowbirds leaving us for the winter and trying to get a quorum at our town meeting, so November 4th would be a good day prior to that happening.
Just, this is, just, I'm thinking, suppose the community is vehemently against it and they're not gonna put their, you know, behind that, and then we've set all of this in motion, I guess, is one of my questions, because that's a tough go of it, but we have to be ready if this case comes to being.
I would imagine if town meeting votes us down, we would have to find it in the budget next year. If the election's held and they vote it down, we would have to find another way, which would most likely be find a way to take it from our budget, which is the only other alternative. If, you know,
I'm just
or
saying,
if
if another community decides they
If, yes,
don't
if
want
another,
any part of it.
right, you want no part of it, then that's the way that it ends. We'll see how it goes with the other towns, but, right? If,
This is the
we've already got, we talked about it a little bit, if a town does not vote in favor, you need all communities to vote in favor
Right,
for
you need
this.
all- you need all 9.
So we'll get this set in motion, and then we'll
yes, because
continue.
if it gets approved, they'll be taking the loan out, we'll need to just find the funds. So this is our way of basically finding the funds to pay them. It's not a bond that we pay on our own, it goes right to them.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
I just want to say, on the voting, I'm going to abstain. Typically, I abstain when it comes to the town clerk's budget, and obviously this will have an impact on that as a family member as the town clerk, so I'm going to be abstaining from voting on this.
Okay. It's your prerogative. So we have, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No noes, 3 in favor, 1 abstention. All right, so we have all this set up, the process has been set up, and then we're going to start that process. The final thing is that this project was just recently approved, correct?
Yes.
So that's the reason why it's happening so fast, because it was just approved, and we have some 60 days and then 90 days, and that's why we're scrambling here to support this.
It is this, you know, ordinarily you'd like to say, hey, we'll see in the spring, the normal process, we go through that part, MSBA's calendar and schedule and projects with all of those. We have 60 days to say no, 90 days, as we talk, to have the election if you're doing the exclusion, as we go forward with that piece, because then they have to say, are we gonna go with and fund this project or not? And if not, they'll pull it off the plate, and we gotta start all over again, and reapply and go through that. So that may be a year or two down the road, so that, what I referenced there, so. It's difficult, but it's not of our making, it is their design, that you must do it. Here's the date, August, we said yes. You gotta now deliver it to the towns, and then you got 60 days from that date, or 90 of that date, and then you have to certify by this date, you know, or we cancel.
Okay?
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yes, Carol, can you please come up to the podium?
Actually, I have one quick question. How many years are left on Music Valley debt exclusion?
We pulled the numbers through this last budget cycle, approximately close to 6 to 7 years, I want to say. It was in the 30s.
Thank you.
It was an approximate number. Thank you. Goodbye.
All right, thank you. Do you guys want to take a 5-minute break, or you could keep going?
I'd rather keep going.
Marathon.
I just gotta grab my paperwork. Okay, now we're at new business, item I, right? Acknowledge receipt of and discuss response to open meeting law complaint from Kathy Foster dated September 10th, 2025, and received by the town on September 10th, 2025, against the Board of Selectmen, and vote to have chairwoman work with special counsel to finalize the response letter and submit it to Ms. Foster and the Attorney General's office. So this has been submitted. This is the one, I believe, that indicates that the chair did not have the responsibility to name an acting chief prior to the board meeting that we held. Our legal counsel indicates that it has nothing to do with the open meeting law, so he's going to respond in that matter. And I'm looking for your permission for legal counsel to submit a response for that. Now, I want to make sure he's looked at the paperwork here. We got a lot of paperwork this evening. That this is special counsel. This is a result from our labor council. So after hopefully you've reviewed that, and the request is to allow me to work with legal counsel and get our response submitted to the Attorney General.
I make a motion that we acknowledge the receipt of the open meeting law complaint from Kathy Foster dated September 10th, 2025, and received by the town September 10th, 2025 against the Board of Selectmen, and have the chair work with special counsel to finalize the response letter and submit it to Ms. Foster and the Attorney General's office.
Motion by Jay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ann. Any discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question on this. Sometimes this one is gone first to our labor lawyer, and not out to our KP? And what's the reasoning?
We are using the labor lawyer as, for this topic, which you can't say much about, but the labor counsel is being used for this because it involves an individual. So that's the difference. Normally, we'd have our KP Law answer any questions, but this one here is a little bit different.
Okay.
Because our labor lawyers do the personnel.
Personnel.
It's personnel,
Thank you. Yeah,
that's why.
Personnel. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Okay, that takes care of all new business. Now we're going to go to the old business, which is, the first item is update on town administrator screening committee status. Holly.
The screening committee met on September 9th to organize and review. Their job is to narrow down the field to, I believe, approximately 3 to 4 people to put before the Board of Selectmen, and they have scheduled interviews, which will be held in executive session, but the meetings will be posted in a timely manner for those meetings.
Okay, any questions from the board on that status?
No, I just brought that agenda item up. I thought it's important that the people of Adams know that this is ongoing.
It's happening.
Yep.
Okay, next under old business is discuss and vote to extend the acting chief position currently held by Sergeant Donna Malloy, post Wednesday, September 17, 2025. The board had requested that the town administrator provide a name for this meeting. I'm going to let the town administrator speak to that.
We have to narrow down the name, and I had to find out who is qualified to do that, and so I'm hoping to have a name provided for the October 1st meeting.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, could you explain that a little bit more?
So she has to stay in charge until I give you a name.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful, we have to interview, and I'm hopeful to have a name for you by the next meeting, which is October 1st.
And how are you going to ascertain who to interview?
There are 4 sergeants, and so when you look at the rank, they all get an opportunity.
Okay? It doesn't go by seniority?
You cannot just look at seniority alone.
Okay. All right.
My question here is, do we want to put an end date on this, or do we want to continue to just extend it until specifically someone's brought forth? Do we want to say October 1st, or do we
Or extend it until I bring it forward.
Until you bring it forward, just for the motion's sake, yeah, okay.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it is. All
My
intentions.
goal is the first.
Yeah, all intentions is to have it here the first, but you're right. So, yeah, good point.
Yeah, just to clarify that, okay.
You can make a motion?
Yep, I'll make a motion that we extend the acting chief position currently held by Sergeant Donna Malloy, past Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, today, until the interim town administrator brings forward a candidate.
Motion by Jay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ann. No select board member will be involved in the interviews, just for information.
Correct.
And is it proper, now that you said no selectmen, can you give the names of who will be on the selection committee? Is that appropriate?
So there's not really a selection
Okay.
committee. It is I have asked Ashley as the finance director to sit in so that it's not just coming just from me, and also to deal with the financial piece of what is the impact for the town.
An even number is pretty, it's, when you got two, what's 1 and 1? If somebody says, well, I think this person should be it, and the other one says, I think that this person should be, how do you
If we're not in
rectify that?
agreement, we'll work on that.
Okay,
The other person I asked to be involved was too busy.
okay.
Okay, that is it for old business. Do we vote?
We got to vote.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. We're down to communications. We have Christine Hoyt is being honored as one of the 2025 Berkshire 25 for contributing her inclusive and hands-on leadership approach that has strengthened the community over many years. I'm going to hand this over to Holly.
So she couldn't be here tonight because she is being honored as one of the 2025 Berkshire 25. This year, they are honoring those whose contributions fall under the radar, who shy away from the limelight, or who have been in our community for so long that we take their contributions for granted. Christine Hoyt balances her role as Director of Member Services for One Berkshires with her responsibilities as a 3-term Adams Select Person with dedication and skill. Both positions showcase her commitment to her community and her ability to build strong relationships. Christina Wynn, who is Vice President and CFO at Berkshire Community College, says of Christine that her leadership is inclusive and hands-on. Christine's commitment to Adams and the Berkshires runs deep. So we just wanted to share that with you tonight.
Okay, congratulations, our fellow member. All right, next we have an open meeting law determination, January 15, 2025, executive session, Attorney General Office response. As it states here, from January 2025, we have I'll just read the high-level overview. There is a lot of information here from the Attorney General. This will be part of this, of the minutes of this meeting. So I'll just read the cover page from the Attorney General. In regards to an open meeting law complaint, this was written to our attorney. This office received a complaint from Catherine Foster on April 15, 2025, alleging that the Adams Board of Selectmen violated the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25. The complaint was originally filed with the board on or about January 21st, and you responded on behalf of the board by letter dated February 11th. The complaint alleges that the board convened an executive session without a lawful purpose on January 15th. Following our review, we find that the board did not violate the open meeting law. In reaching this determination, we reviewed the open meeting law complaint, the board's response, the request for further review of the complaint, the notice and minutes for the January 15th meeting, and spoke to the board's attorney. So as far as I'll go, there's a lot here, but that'll be part of the record. Okay, so going forward, I will have all responses from the Attorney General, good or bad. We will read those and make sure the public, because we read when we receive them, but we haven't been providing when they're Attorney General's determination. So I like to have that as part of the record. whatever is responded. All right. Another communication is the water department. Many of you may have already heard this, but just want to reiterate from the water department that we are at a drought level 2. Thank you. Okay, and water use restrictions for residents and businesses. This is most of the state, and there's a few counties that have it a little bit worse than we do. But as of 9/10/25, we received this from the water department. John Barrett from the water department. Non-essential outdoor water use limited. But there's a list here. It's on the water department's website, the state's websites, and this will be part of the record. So there is a level 2 significant drought state declaration with restrictions. Just want to make sure we got that out to everyone. Next is, so that's it for communications. Now we're going into licensing, and we have several licensing requests. I'm going to hand this over to Ann for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a one-day liquor license application for the Bounty Fair to serve wine and malt at the Adams Visitor Center at 3 Hoosick Street, Adams, Mass. on Saturday, October 11th, 2025, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Also, they would like to have one for the Adams Visitor Center, 3 Hoosick Street, Adams, Mass. on Sunday, October 12th, 2025, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, these are two from the Bounty Fair for the Adams Theater, right?
For the Bounty Fair for the Adams Visitor Center.
I'm sorry, the Adams Visitor Center. Right. So Ann has a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Any discussion?
This is for Ramble Fest, I believe, and a rain date for Ramble Fest.
Ramble Fest and the rain date.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous.
I will make a motion to approve a liquor license application for the Bounty Fair to serve wine and malt at the Adams Theater, 27 Park Street, Adams, Mass. on September 20th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. On October 4th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. On October 10th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. On October 17th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. On October 25th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that's all for that one.
Okay, we have a motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous decision.
I have a motion, I'll make a motion for the public entertainment license application for the Pro Adams to have live music at the Adams Visitor Center, 3 Hoosick Street, Adams, Mass. on Saturday, October 11th, 2025, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Any discussion?
My only question is, there wasn't an application for the rain date. I don't know if that was something that they would have needed to do, just in case.
Okay, if we missed that, we'll add it to the next agenda.
Yep.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous.
I'll make a motion for a one-day liquor license for Berkshire Catering to serve wine and malt at the Adams Theater, 27 Park Street, Adams, Mass. on September 18th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Motion by Ann. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None unanimous decision. And wrapping up here under announcements, there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for the Adams Little League and Greylock Travel Softball League at Russell Field, Harmony Street, Adams, Mass. on Friday, September 19th at 7 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, it's Adams Lassie League and not Little League.
Oh, did I say Little League?
Yeah.
These are the old days. Okay, Adams, thank you. That's going to be Adams Little League.
Lassie.
Lassie League. I want to go back. Okay. Do we, hopefully someone from the board, I know Jay, you threw out the first pitch at the Little League,
Yeah, I'll be there.
so you'll be there?
Yep.
And anyone from the board, and hopefully any resident from the town is welcome to attend.
Yeah, I just have to say outright, I'm not gonna be able to be there. I'm gonna go to the Hoosick Valley Pittsfield football game.
Okay, thank you. The second B is the one we have every meeting, is in regards to anyone that has any issues with streets, things like that. For the Department of Public Works, there's to call 743-8300, extension 122, or visit the town website and use report and issue under the DPW webpage. That's the way they would like to handle all these requests for their roads paving or potholes or whatever may be the issue. And then the last one, item C, is Selectman member Jay Mezawar has been elected the delegate for the Berkshire Metropolitan Organization, the MPO, to represent the North Region of Berkshire County. Congratulations, Jay, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to just say, the select board member, the chair from Williamstown, Stephanie Boyd, will be the alternate on that. So we'll be working together for North County.
Right, it's always good to have a seat at the table for Adams, and I appreciate you keeping that going. All right, that's it. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
Motion by Ann, second by Jay. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. This meeting has ended.